Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Yo, Sean Garthright takes the stand and he testifies to the jury to save his life by letting them know that he's a good person and he's not cut from the cloth that they're trying to make him cut from. And that's what it is. Now, we're going to sit back and I'm going to break this down. I'm going to play the cross-examination, and the direct examination is Sean Garthright speaking first. Let's keep it moving. All right. Yo, Whitey, I'm recording. Let me call you back. All right, give me about 30 minutes. All right. now he's sorry. Sean Garthright begs for mercy after Fulio ambush conviction. Now he's sorry. Many people puts in the comments that he have no right to be sorry. He wasn't sorry when he was hunting Julio Fulio, so why does he have a right to say that he's sorry now? I'm going to explain that to you so you know how a person feel when they've been caught. This is when the rabbit has the gun. Now he woke up and he had a fast track reality check. And he realized that he screwed up. So this is how he breaks it down. He said he had something to say to address the court, and we're going to take a ride right into that. All right.
I was born on October 20th, 2005.
Mr. Garthright, you've heard people speak here today on your behalf and yesterday, and I know that you wanted to address the court and the jury. So I would like to ask you what you want the jury to know.
I just want to address the court today, and, you know, I'm not here to dispute anything. I'm just here to be a man and take responsibility and express my feelings about what, you know, this whole situation. You know, that's what I plan on doing.
Okay. And how do you feel? What?
I feel very remorseful, you know. This is a terrible situation. It's been a traumatic experience, you know.
Let me ask you this. So how old were you when you were arrested?
I was 18 years old.
We heard that you had started some college, obviously probably didn't get very far, right?
Right.
What have you done since you've been in jail? Is there programs? Are there things that you can do there?
So, you know, I've gotten into programs. I've also, you know, I grew up, you know, in church and, you know, in a Christian household. So I refocused my, you know, life to Christ, and, you know, I've taken a lot of religious programs. I've read the Bible from cover to cover. I've tried to, you know, share some word, and, you know, we have prayer circles in the jail and stuff like that. I've led a couple, you know, prayer circles, and I've tried to, you know, kids around my age or, you know, younger, you know, since I'm 20 years old now, when you turn 18, you know, you go to the adult pods and stuff like that. So if I see somebody who I see, you know, has a lot of potential and has a chance to keep them from, you know, basically being able to be corrected at this opportunity and not come back, you know, I try to take them under my wing. As you see, I have a lot of resources and a lot of family that love me, and they've even, you know, asked me, like, hey, is there anybody in there who doesn't have somebody like that, who, you know, could we send them some money, like, you know, anything like that. So I've tried to, you know, be a vessel for God to pour over my blessings into those around me.
We heard.
Do you hear this young man speaking very intelligent now? This is the same young man that was hunting Julio Fulio. I'm going to do my commentary in a minute, but before I begin, I would like to take a ride into the prosecutor's response to him saying this. Okay? I don't know if you're ready for this. I don't know what is going on, but let's get this jumping.
And you saw the autopsy photos of Charles Jones. My question to you is, after you and your friends inflicted that carnage on June 23rd, and as you were running States 2059C, this is actually you running to shoot them, but when you were running back past that Tesla, were you feeling a lot of trauma at that point?
Good question.
It was so long ago, I try to not remember anything from that night.
Were you remorseful as you were running back with that AR-15 in your hands?
Like I said, I try to remember nothing from that night.
Was it traumatic to you as you went back to the car with that AR-15? Was it still smoking? Was it still warm in your hands from firing?
Sustain the objection.
Were you feeling remorse as you were getting back into the Impala?
Like I said, I just try to focus on today and moving forward.
So the next day, that Impala, that was your car. You drove that around, right? It was your mom's, but you drove that car, correct?
Yes, sir, it was my mother's car.
All right. And that was the car you drove from Jacksonville to Tampa in, correct?
I'm going to object beyond stuff.
I'm working to a point, Your Honor.
Okay, why don't we just get there?
All right. So this car, this Impala that you drove from Jacksonville to Tampa in with Mr. Chance and Miss Andrews, the one that you drove in tandem with the Silver Cruise, the same car that you utilized to drive the assault team, the shooting team, which you were a part of that night, that same car that you drove around Tampa in the early morning hours for several hours, tracking, stalking, and hunting Charles Jones and his entourage.
Sustain.
That same Impala, you drove that to Polk County the next day, and you dropped it at your grandmother's house, right? The same grandmother who came in here last night and testified for you, correct?
Overruled. Go ahead. You can answer that question.
Isn't that correct?
What is the question?
You dropped the Impala, the one that had all of these shooters in it, the one that was utilized in this murder, that was such a vital cog in this plan. You dropped it at your grandmother's house in Auburndale, didn't you?
I'm here to testify about today.
Are you going to answer that question, or are you going to avoid it? Because that's not what I asked what you were doing here today. I think we all understand what you're here to do today, what you're testifying about. I'm asking you specifically about your remorse. Were you remorseful when you dropped that car off and left it at your grandmother's house in Auburndale?
I did go to my grandmother's house.
Were you feeling remorse when you hugged her and got into the Forerunner and left her with the Impala after you wiped it down?
Sir, I'm just telling you that today I would like to express my remorse to the family and to the court.
I understand what you're trying to do today. I'm asking you, since you're trying to convince this jury that you're remorseful, were you feeling remorse that next day or later that day?
I don't remember these days in detail, how I was feeling, what I was thinking.
What about later that night when you went to Orlando? Were you feeling remorse when you were out partying at Club Parlay, celebrating what you had done that day?
That was my sister's birthday party.
What did you feel any remorse while you were drinking Don Julio tequila and putting that in your video and throwing gang signs?
I'm here to testify about today, sir. We've all seen the evidence. We've all reviewed everything.
Mr. Chance, it's not time for you now to make speeches. You've politely answered your counsel's questions. Can you not answer the state's questions? Is there something about my question you don't understand?
I was getting to
I'm sorry, Mr. Garthright. I called you Mr. Chance. Excuse me.
I was getting to my answer. Like I said, I've seen all the evidence.
Well, we've all seen all the evidence.
Yes,
right?
sir. That's true.
And after all that evidence came in, and this jury based their true verdict on that, convicting you, now you're taking accountability? Is that correct?
Sustain the objection. I think the question on the table was remorse about in Orlando. okay?
It is, Your Honor.
You just need to answer that question.
So
okay?
I'm going to ask you very specifically, okay? So try to focus with a laser beam here, Mr. Garthright. Were you feeling remorse when you were in Club Parlay in Orlando drinking Don Julio? Were you feeling remorse for what you did earlier that day?
I don't remember how I was feeling or what I was thinking.
Were you feeling remorse when you got pulled over in the Forerunner a couple of days later by the police?
I don't remember. I was nervous. I mean, I had never been involved in any
Were you
police
feeling
matters.
remorse when you were unloading the Impala and putting all of that evidence into the Forerunner? Did you feel remorse?
Sir, I told you I don't remember how I was feeling or what I was thinking in those days.
Mr. Garthright, you have led, you would agree with me, an extremely privileged life, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
You would agree with that, correct?
I would.
You've had a loving mother, correct?
Yes, sir.
A loving sister, correct?
Yes, sir.
You've had 2 wonderful grandmothers, correct?
Yes, sir.
You would agree with me, right?
I couldn't deny that.
One of which probably, I'm assuming, sacrificed and paid for you to go to that private school, that preparatory school, correct?
It wasn't paid. It was a magnet program, so I had to apply, and it was a lottery system.
It was a lottery system. Okay, so it was a magnet.
Yes, sir.
All right. She supported you going there, did she not?
Everybody did.
Gave
Yes, sir.
you open use of her house, welcomed you, treated you, and parented you, basically, didn't she?
Yes, sir.
Took care of you when your parents were deployed, correct?
Yes, sir. At the time, I was living with my grandmother. Both of my parents had been either retired or out of the military. I was just living there more so. I needed a change of scenery, and my relationship with my father wasn't sustainable.
Okay. This is when you're in Oxford with your grandmother.
Yes, sir.
The nice lady we saw earlier came in here.
Yes, sir.
The one that has supported you and spoke so lovingly about you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so you went to this preparatory school, and whether you got in there through a lottery or not, you would agree with me, not everybody gets to go to a school like that, correct?
The lottery school, the magnet school I went to was in middle school when I was living in Jacksonville. The school I went to in Oxford, it was just a public high school.
A public high school.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
my mistake. So you went to that preparatory school in Jacksonville.
Yes, sir.
But again, that school was not something that every kid gets to go to, right?
No, sir.
Not every kid gets to have a counselor and a role model like Mr. Edwards, correct?
No, sir. I was very blessed.
And not many children get to fly in planes with their stepfather, correct?
No, sir.
And fly around in Asia and get to see islands off the coast of Okinawa, correct?
No, sir. I was
And go on
very
camp-
blessed.
You are very blessed, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
And not every kid gets to go to Scotland, right?
No, sir.
Or Ireland,
No, sir.
or Paris,
No, sir.
or London,
No, sir.
or Spain.
No, sir.
Cape Town or Johannesburg, or both in South Africa?
Cape Town.
Cape Town, beautiful city, right?
Yeah.
You got to go experience that when you were growing up, correct?
I did.
Because you had such loving people around you supporting you, correct?
Yes, sir.
In fact, your grandmother went with you on that trip, did she not? Or not on that one, but on the ones to
Several
Europe,
trips.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And we heard you got to meet up with your sister in one of those trips, correct?
I did. I had the privilege.
So you always had someone there taking care of you, and you always had good, strong male role models, including people at your grandmother's church and your stepfather, Mr. Harrington, correct?
I had male role models in my life growing up, but in my more formative years, more so 16 to 18, I didn't. I did not have a relationship with my father, and the male role models that came and testified, they were present but not intimately as whenever I was younger, maybe middle school years. But when I turned around 16 to 18, it was the females that actually had that caregiving and, you know, nurturing relationship with me. But
Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
yes, sir. Towards the more recent years, I didn't have that one-on-one and very close relationship with, you know, those male role models in my life. You know, you heard my stepfather say, you know, after the divorce.
I did hear that, Mr. Chance. Let me stop you,
Mr.
okay, and
Garthright.
we'll go back to my question. I'm sorry?
Mr. Garthright.
I'm sorry, I keep calling you that, Mr. Garthright. Let me go back to what you said earlier. Between 16 and 18, you didn't have a male role model? Is that what you're telling the jury?
I'm not saying I didn't have any male role models, but day to day, you know, young men need strong.
That's not what I
influence.
asked. I asked if you had a male role model between 16 and 18.
I had a figure that I could go to, but not intimately.
Mr. Edwards, right?
Yes, sir.
He had stayed in contact with you even when you graduated into high school, correct?
Yes, sir. We definitely maintained a relationship, but
And he
it
seemed to
wasn't.
be pretty enthusiastic about that, right?
Yes, sir.
In
Yes.
fact, you went on a cruise with him at some point, did you not?
Yeah, when I was younger, yes. We had
Okay.
a very close relationship.
And then from what you're saying, if I understand it right, the females, I'm assuming you're talking about your grandmothers and your mom stepped into the gap?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was grandmother's, mother's, sister. Those
So
my- those
let
my
me
girls.
see if I got this right. When you were being brought up, and you were being brought up by a mother who was enlisted or an officer in the military, an officer, wasn't she?
I don't know exactly what her rank is. I know she was a sergeant.
But in the Marine Corps.
Yes, sir. She was in the Marine Corps.
All right. And then you had a stepfather who was in the Air Force, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
From
in
the
Air Force.
time you were 3 all the way up to when they divorced in 2020.
Yes, sir.
All right. They taught you right from wrong, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we
of
heard
course.
that from your
Yes, sir.
grandmother,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yeah. Of course. Yes, sir.
Miss Lyle, she told us the same thing.
Right.
They brought you up in the church. They taught you about the 10 Commandments. They taught you about right from wrong, did they not?
They did.
All right. And they were excellent role models about living your life in a disciplined, honest, and right way, correct? And being law-abiding, correct?
They really didn't have to worry about me. You know,
Well, let me just answer my question. Would you agree with what I'm telling you? That they were excellent role models of
Yeah.
how to live a moral life?
Yes, sir. They definitely instilled the foundation.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
I have nothing else, Your Honor.
Okay. Read right.
All right, so that's it, right? I just want you to hear all that, right? Just so you see, this is what our children have to go through when they make bad choices. Now he found remorse. Now he's talking soft. Now he's talking God. Now he's talking Bible study. Now he's talking change. But the question is simple. Where was the heart before the gun smoke? Where was the mercy before the ambush? Where was the Bible when revenge was driving the car? The street gives you courage. Court gives you clarity. Now he has clarity. In the streets, everybody's tough. Everybody mask up. Everybody's chasing a name. Everybody's trying to prove a point. But in the court, the same energy disappears. The chains get heavy. The jury gets quiet. The victim's family is sitting right there, and now reality starts talking louder than pride. Revenge don't feel heavy until the sentence comes. Revenge feels powerful in the moment. Revenge feels justified when your ego is hot. Revenge feels like loyalty when everybody around you is cheering. But revenge turns into evidence. Revenge turns into surveillance footage. Revenge turns into first-degree murder. Revenge turns into death penalty talk. Revenge turns into your mother crying in a courtroom. Did you see his lovely mother, what she has to go through now? He may be sorry, but timing matters. I'm not saying a man can't change, because look at me, I changed after 26 years. Did I need 26 years? No, but who knows how much you need, especially when they sentence you based off of going off of your paperwork. Prison can humble anybody. Look how prison has humbled him. God can reach anybody. Pain can wake anybody up, but the timing matters. Are you sorry because a life was taken? Or are you sorry because your life is now on the line? These are the questions you young people need to ask. Please hit the like button and put a comment, even if it's an emoji. That's the question the prosecutors were really asking. The prosecutor hit the real pressure point. The cross-examination was not just about words, it was about timing. Did you feel remorse then? Did you feel remorse with the weapon? Did you feel remorse during the hunt? Did you feel remorse during the verdict, before the verdict? Or did remorse show up when death row entered the conversation? This is the trap young boys don't see. The streets sell you a movie. The courtroom shows you the ending. The streets say ride. The judge says life. The streets say get back. The prosecutor says premeditation. The streets say stand on business. The prison says stand in this cell forever. A good speech don't erase a bad decision, because he gave a very good speech. His speech may have sounded sincere. His tears may have been real. His programs may be positive. His Bible study may be serious. But none of that brings Charles Jones back. None of that brings back Julio Folio. None of that unshoots the gun. None of that removes the pain from the family. That is the cold part about consequences. The message to the youth, right? What message should I give the youth? All right, let's go here. Don't wait until the judge owns your future to become spiritual and find the Bible and walk around the prison trying to help, walk around the community trying to help. Don't wait until prison to become disciplined. Look how disciplined he is now. Don't wait until the trial to become humble. I didn't think he could be humble like this, did you? Don't wait until a casket to understand life is precious. Because thank God you're not in a physical casket. You're just in a prison casket. Don't wait until your mother is crying in court to realize the streets lied. Change before the change. Grow before the grave. Think before the trigger. Street code reality check, right? Street reality is not loyalty. It's a trap. It takes one life. It destroys 5 families. It fills prisons. It feeds prosecutors. It leaves mothers grieving on both sides. The streets are real, but prison, as I always say, is realer. Let me give you this closing jewel before I get up out of here. Right? A man can change, but wisdom is changing before blood gets spilled. Accountability after the damage is still accountability, but accountability before the damage is prevention, and that is a jewel, ladies and gentlemen. Don't become a better man only after you destroyed somebody else's life. Become that man now. Because once the smoke clears, sorry might be real, but it still might be too late. Let me ask y'all 10 controversial questions before I go out. Is Sean Garthright really remorseful or scared of the death penalty? He may be both. A man can feel remorse and fear consequences, but the timing is what makes people question it. Question number 2, can a man find God after committing terrible acts? The answer is yes, but finding God does not erase accountability. Faith without responsibility is just courtroom language. Question 3, why do people act fearless in the streets but emotional in the courtroom? Please put that in the comments. Because the street crowd is gone. The weapons are gone. The music is gone. Now it's just the evidence, the judge, and the consequences. Question 4, Should the victim's family accept his apology? That is their choice. Nobody has the right to rush their forgiveness. They lost someone they loved. In prison, rehabilitation is real. Yes, right? Is rehabilitation real in prison? Is rehabilitation real in prison? Yes, it can be real. Look at me. I rehabilitated myself. Look at my comrades that came home with me. They rehabilitated themselves. Programs, Bible study, education, and discipline can change a person. But rehabilitation does not cancel the damage done. Was the prosecutor right to challenge his remorse? Put that in the comments. Absolutely. That is the prosecution's job. They wanted the jury to ask, was this remorse for the victim or remorse for yourself because you're now looking at the death penalty? Why do young men chase revenge even when they know prison is possible? I say it's because of pride, peer pressure, ego, street reputation, and a false belief that this will not get me caught. Question 8. What is the biggest lesson from this case? The streets make you feel powerful for 5 minutes. Then the system can own you for the rest of your life. Can you be a good person and still do something evil? People are complicated, but one evil decision can define the rest of your life. That is why discipline matters before emotion takes over. Now, the last question. What should young people take from this? Do not let revenge write your future. Do not let friends hype you into a grave or a cell. Do not confuse violence with strength. The strongest move is walking away before your life becomes evidence. And on that note, subscribe to my daughter's YouTube channel at Unique Mecca Audio. Subscribe to my man, Real Boss TTTV, over at YouTube for the banging music. And I got Unique Mecca Audio Prison Stories. Man, we out of here. All right.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, Heat back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca Audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend an ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours, so we can give back to the